Well, hello and welcome back. I invite you to spend some time right here today setting the ego aside because we're going to talk about a principle of true forgiveness, a couple of them actually, that the ego finds absolutely absurd, intolerable, and wrong. It wants you to believe just the opposite. So, to the extent that you experience that throughout this video, I invite you to pay attention to what your inner teacher tells you today. Remember, it's your inner teacher, that inner voice that we all have, that has you on the spiritual path in the first place. And it has you interested in the pure non-duality of A Course in Miracles. How do we experience our essential oneness with God? Well, we practice true forgiveness, forgiveness as it is discussed in this course. That's how. Now, I say true forgiveness, and you may have noticed on all of the YouTube descriptions that I post, there's a hashtag true forgiveness, along with hashtag forgiveness. I put that there for a reason, and we're going to talk about that in the next few minutes. There's a difference between true forgiveness and forgiveness as the world sees it. In fact, in one of the supplements to this course, the Song of Prayer, Jesus talks about the way the world views forgiveness as forgiveness to destroy. Yeah, forgiveness to destroy. So there's a way that the world thinks of it and conceives it, and then the way the Holy Spirit presents it, which is true forgiveness. And as you might imagine, it's true forgiveness that undoes the ego. We're still in chapter 2, part 5A of the text, The Special Principles of Miracle Workers, and we're looking at paragraphs 15 and 16. Yes, not very extensive reading. They're very short, just a few sentences, yet they're very packed with meaning. Wholly worthy of an entire video, as is every single sentence of this course. So, in paragraph 15, we see that forgiveness is empty unless it involves correction. It's empty. It's meaningless, pretty much useless, unless it involves correction. Correction of what? Our perception, our way of looking at things, our way of looking at other people in the world, our way of looking at ourselves in the world, and our way of looking at the world itself and all phenomena. Everything. This is the correction of the Holy Spirit. That is what we accept for ourselves when we accept the atonement for ourselves. That's the correction of the Holy Spirit. Part of that, as we've seen, is the acknowledgement that the separation never took place, and it didn't. So this is paragraph 15 here. Why is forgiveness empty unless it involves correction? Well, the way the world thinks of forgiveness is entirely dualistic. It's a separation thought. Think of people in your life. I'm thinking of my own mother, who was an expert at what Jesus calls forgiveness to destroy. In other words, forgiveness to maintain a separation, to establish a hierarchy of people, one above another, and maintain the sense of separation fully intact and ready to consume every single thing that lives. Oh, yeah. Now, maybe it wasn't your mother that you think of here, but what I mean by this is that the way the world looks at forgiveness involves people stooping or deigning or going out of their way to show somebody who may have done something in the world that they suck and they're scum. It often goes like this: I'll forgive you this time, but if you ever do it again, I'm going to cancel your birthday, or you'll be grounded and I'll take your car from you, or I'll withhold money from you, or I'll withhold affection from you. I'll do this, I'll do that. There will be a serious consequence attached because you suck and you did this to me, and I forgive you this time. But if you ever do it again, you little shit, you're majorly fucked. Right? The world often sees forgiveness in that way. So what does this do? Well, it maintains a separation of forgiver and forgiven. And the forgiver deigns and stoops to forgive somebody for something concrete that they appeared to do and holds it over them. And they often feel superior. Maybe you've done this. Maybe you've done this. I don't know. Have you? Right? The person doing the forgiving in this scenario often feels completely morally and ethically and emotionally superior to the person who has transgressed them and wronged. And that person often feels horrible. They feel like they suck, they're scum, they're less than, and in some very egregious circumstances, like my own mother's, the person doing the forgiving doesn't hesitate to remind the forgiven of their supposed transgression and moral flaws and defects over and over and over and over and over again. Forgiveness that maintains a separation. It's based on something that someone apparently did to someone else. So let's contrast that with forgiveness as we're taught by the Holy Spirit. True forgiveness. True forgiveness is correction, because in doing it the way the Holy Spirit instructs us to do it, it has nothing to do with what a person does or has done. That is unimportant. Here's where the ego says, wait, what? No, it's unimportant what someone has appeared to do in the dream. I'm choosing this language deliberately, appeared to do. Forgiveness, as the world sees it's based on a concrete action, a transgression. True forgiveness looks beyond that happenstance, that supposed transgression, completely. It's immaterial. It does not matter. It's very, very interesting. Miracle-minded, in other words, right-minded forgiveness is only correction. It's no judgment. There's no judgment at all. What someone has appeared to do does not matter. Our forgiveness is an appeal to our inner teacher to heal the person's mind. It's about healing the mind. It's not about what appears on the screen. So what people appear to do is unimportant. Where does the correction come in? When we forgive, according to this course, True Forgiveness, we acknowledge that this is a dream, that the separation, the supposed separation from God, never took place. It never occurred. We acknowledge that. And because there is no separation of any kind, there's no other out there. So your brother, who you're forgiving for whatever it is they appeared to do, never actually did anything to you because you're not too. There's no one out there. Because the separation has never occurred, there is no separation at all. You're one. So it's not possible for one of us to do something to another. And we're having this conversation as we're directed by our inner teacher, as we forgive. This is where the correction takes place. We're overlooking what has appeared on the screen. We're looking beyond it to the light in our brother. We're invited to see our brother as one with us, to see him or her or them as the Son of God, as our key to heaven, as ourself, capital S. We're invited to see our brother for what he is, not what he appears to be. So with that mindset, what he does is unimportant. We then trust in the strength of our inner teacher as we do this. Our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, is what does the deeper unconscious healing. Of course, we can't, it's unconscious, so we can't do anything with that, but we call on the assistance of our inner teacher who heals the unconscious guilt. What happens in the world apparently outside of us is what we forgive. The Holy Spirit does the corresponding inner healing. Now, yes, if you're doing the verbal math, when you forgive someone else, you're forgiving yourself. Of course you are. There's no separation of any kind. So this is about healing, and it's a correction of our perception. So why does this appear to be so difficult? Well, a couple of different reasons. Number one, spirituality is no different than any other walk of life. It's about developing habits, because we have a habit of identifying as an 80% water self-sustaining survival unit with all kinds of labels attached to it, like male, female, transgender, ethnic group, what we do for a living, our marital status, all that. We attach one label after another. And that level of conditioning is not something that we can just snap out of right away. And if you can, I would like you to please get a hold of me, because I want you on the show. I want to interview you. And I want you to share your story with the entire world. Almost all of us have a gradual program of forgiveness where we supply that little willingness that this course talks about to forgive what appears to be going on outside us. The conditioning that we all receive, no matter where we grow up in the world or where we're from, is thick and heavy, and it needs to be peeled off a bit at a time. That's why most of us have what we consider to be a gradual program. And if we were all completely aware of our oneness with God and experiencing it, in other words, if we were all enlightened, we wouldn't be having this conversation. In fact, there wouldn't be a YouTube at all, because it wouldn't be necessary. But because here we are, apparently. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's difficult for people to wrap their mind around this kind of forgiveness. And it's one thing to wrap your mind around it and another to do it. And of the two, doing it is what's most important. In fact, if you don't really fully understand it, start doing it anyway, and you will. This course is not truly understood ever, ever, ever until one begins to do it. That's where the action is. So, another reason why this can be difficult to wrap our heads around is we're used to the world's variety of forgiveness, the world's take on it, where we're focusing on what someone has done. And there is a lot of crap that goes on in the world. There is serious abuse that goes on. There are major violent acts that go on, like war, like assault, verbal assault. There are many things that you may have experienced, and perhaps you're experiencing them right now, that cause you to look at a video like this and think, no way. You mean I have to forgive my ex or so-and-so? Well, eventually. But if that's not something that you're ready to do today, don't worry about that. Because there's going to be something that comes up for you that you can practice true forgiveness on. And those are the things that we start with. Because not everybody can just up and automatically leap to and forgive an abusive ex, historical dictators, people that make war on one another, that drop bombs on one another, that hit us, that fire us from our job, that cut off our electricity, right? All kinds of, in the winter, all kinds of stuff that goes on. So, yes, ultimately, we can and will forgive every single thing. But in time, that doesn't have to be in the next 10 minutes. Really. A piece of encouragement, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. After the introduction to A Course in Miracles, that's the very first sentence. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. So one act of forgiveness is not any different than another. If you forgive yourself for something that you may have done, like spill coffee on your pants this morning, do that. Do that. If that's what occurs to you, do that. You didn't really spill coffee on your pants. You can go through this same process, and it doesn't matter if what you're forgiving in the world that appears out there seems tiny compared to what someone else may be doing. Someone else may be forgiving historical dictators, space and time itself, the ego itself, an abusive ex-partner. And there's no difference between forgiving something that appears large and heavy duty. There's no difference between that and forgiving something that appears to be smaller. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. They're all the same. Those apparently small acts add up in your mind. And if you don't believe me, that's all right. Try it. Try it. I invite you to try. Do it and see, because we don't learn this course until we do it. It is one thing to understand all of this intellectually. And this idea of true forgiveness, this is how we practice A Course in Miracles. So you can bet that we'll be coming back to this idea again and again and again in various different ways. Of course we will. This is the foundational centerpiece of practicing this course. And there's no substitute whatsoever for doing it. It's important to understand it intellectually. It's far more important to do it. And because it's far more important to do it, that if you have difficulty mentally wrapping your head around the concepts, don't let that stop you from doing it. Do it anyway. You can even tell yourself that you forgive people and get in the habit of that. Everyone you look at is the Son of God. Everyone you look at is you. They are. So it's 100% accurate for us to say that when we forgive what appears to be outside us in the world, we're forgiving ourselves. So by doing it, this may spur on the experience that leads to understanding. Our doing this course is how we come to experientially realize. This is important. Experientially realize that what we're studying here is true. And if you've been studying this for a long time, as I know some of you have, you may have had this experience of this power of true forgiveness. So ultimately, our brother didn't do anything to us. Why? Because there's no separation. There's no brother. There's no separate us. We're all one. The separation never occurred. So this is most definitely about looking past what has appeared on the surface to the essence. Oneness, perfect oneness. The definition of heaven, an awareness of perfect oneness. So here in the world where we appear to be 8 billion self-sustaining survival units running amok, we practice true forgiveness. And doing it this way corrects our perception. It's what we're here to do. All right. So thank you, as always, for tuning in and joining me. Here is the subscription button, and I invite comments and questions. So if you've got questions, please feel welcome to reach out to me here. There have been a number of very good ones on a number of videos. There are a lot of them, for sure. This video series began as a live stream almost 2 years ago on Enlightened World Network, and it continued as a live stream for about 6 months. Now it's offered in pre-recorded format, which is how I do it. And, well, it helps me to serve you better that I'm not looking at my phone or another computer screen for the live comments. For sure. That's a distraction. But if you've got comments or questions, please feel welcome to leave them here. And don't worry if this idea of true forgiveness and the inner workings of it, the metaphysics of it, kind of boggle the mind. They're actually intended to boggle the mind. But the more you practice it, the more you come back to the course itself, to videos that talk about the course, like this one, the more it begins to sink in. And once it does, your experience changes. Oh yeah, most definitely changes. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.